Hey everybody, before the show starts, log on to musicmoneymakeover.com/shop to download all my books and free guides. And while you're there, click on the Book a Call tab to book a one-on-one Zoom call with me to get all your music business questions solved. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Money Makeover Show. My name is Casey Graham, and on this episode, check this out, is what you didn't know about Master P, MC Hammer, Ludacris, and Ryan Leslie. Now, you're going to need to watch Copyright Explained and refresh yourself with the mechanical royalties, so I suggest you do that. This episode is going to be a really pretty cool episode. I think this is something that I haven't seen online or somebody really talk about. So we're going to dig in really quickly. If you want to donate to the channel, you can do so right over here. If you are so inclined with copyright that you want to skip it, you can skip right below. Let's jump into Copyright Explained. Copyright, the sole right which an author has in their own original literary compositions. The exclusive right of an author to print, publish, and vend their own literary works for their own benefit. Now, of course, there are two main rights of copy that the music industry operates and revolves around, and that's the masters and the publishing. And the masters is referred to as the sound recording copyright. Sound recordings as in records, masters, phonogram, or the audio recording file, i.e. the WAV, MP3, AIFF, of the composition and or song. Now, you can collect your master recording royalties or the proceeds due from the sale and streaming of the master recording via your distributor like TuneCore or DistroKid, and if you have a major label deal, then it's them, all right? Now, you can also collect the performance royalties via the master sound recording via Sound Exchange and PPL over in the UK. Sound Exchange is based here in America, and if you are outside of America, any other organization that collects these sound recording performance royalties are referred to as neighboring rights. Now, publishing is referred to as a performing arts copyright here in America. Okay, performing arts as in the composition, sheet music, MIDI files, publishing, or song to be performed. You can collect the performance royalties for the composition via BMI, CSAC, ASCAP here in America, and PRS over in the UK, and other countries have their own performing rights organization as well to collect those royalties for you. All right, now, you can collect the mechanical royalties due from the composition via Harry Fox, Music Reports, and the Mechanical Licensing Collective here in America. You can also collect your mechanical royalties over in the UK from MCPS. So now, Lyric Find right here. You can get your lyric display royalties from Lyric Find and Music Match, but that's that. Let's go through the 6 rights of copyright to be exercised to the fullest extent of the United States Code under Title 17, and that's the right to reproduce. The right to reproduce the copyrighted work in copies or phonorecords, physical or digital format. The right to prepare derivative works. The right to prepare derivative works based upon the copyrighted work. The right to distribute. The right to distribute copies or phonorecords of the copyrighted work to the public by sale or other transfer of ownership or by rental, lease, or lending. And then we have the right to public performance, the right to perform the copyrighted work publicly, the right to public display, the right to display the copyrighted work publicly, and the right to digital performance, and that's the right to digital audio transmission performance. All right, everybody, before we get started on this one, I'm going to be in and out of the computer a bit. All right, so I'm going to be bouncing back and forth, so just bear with me on the edits really quickly. And so let's jump into the first clip, and don't forget you can text me 470-291-5767. Let's go.
Joy convinced her boss to sign Hammer, but when they called to offer him a contract, Hammer shocked them by saying no.
It had a lot to do with the fact that we were selling albums, already out of our trunk, and we knew the profit margin. So we said, well, you're offering us a rate that would probably pay us, maybe a dollar and some change a record, but when we sell it direct, if we can just sell 200,000 records, we'll make as much money as selling 1 million for you. So this is not a good deal for us. So they had to up the dollar amount.
All right, so there's some key things here I want you to take a look at. All right, or I want you to keep in mind. Like, we're talking about MC Hammer right here. He says things like, all right, well, why would we give you, why would we want to take $1 and some change from the record company in the form of an artist royalty? So to clarify, that is what he was talking about. Not, oh, you're just going to give us $1 and some change per sale. But that has to be clarified into what he would be getting for an artist royalty. That doesn't mean like what he would be getting for his mechanical royalties. It's just simply his artist royalty, $1 and some change, right? per record versus what he was already doing with 200,000 copies. Now, to preface this thing before I get into the computer, I do want to say that he did have a $10,000 advance from the Oakland A's owner at the time. Okay, and you're going to find this $10,000 number pop up a few times here in the episode. So he had that initial investment of $10,000. I want to throw some numbers out at you so you can understand there is some investment that has to take place in the beginning. So 10 stacks. All right. Then he presses and distributes some cassettes, because at the time CDs were just hitting the scene in the 80s, but the prime medium was cassettes at the time. Okay, so we're going to rock with cassettes on this one. So let's jump into our example of breaking down this 200,000 units sold before the deal that he had. All right, so here we go. MC Hammer, Feel My Power. You can see we have the cassette tape front cover, right? They might have possibly did CDs with this. It looks like they would have did this in the square, so they could have put this on vinyl if they were pressing for vinyls for DJs. But for the public, I'm using the cassette, and I'm going to say that he sold 200,000 units of the cassette. He could have actually pressed vinyl, cassettes, and a small run of CDs all together to get this 200,000 units. I'm just using the price of $750. Now, let's break it down. The average price for a cassette. So it could have been $9, could have been $10, but this is the price that he would take home. This would be his wholesale price right here. Now he's going to spend about $1.30 to manufacture this cassette tape, to put the ink on the cassette, to put the audio on the tape, and then to make the booklet that goes in the cassette. He's also going to spend on distribution himself. So this is going to be the equivalent of him going to the record stores and putting the product in the record store and building his own pipeline to get the record out there. I'm going to say roughly it's going to cost $1.50 per unit. Mind you, there is no P&D deal, no press and distribute deal. This is all himself with the $10,000 loan that he got from the Oakland A's owner at the time. Then he is responsible for paying the U.S. government mechanical royalty rate for the songwriters involved on the album. There were 9 songs at 5 cents a song. That's 45 cents. You deduct all of that from that retail price that he was selling. Because remind you, this isn't a retail store. This is strictly out of his trunk. So he says, we're going off information. So therefore, these numbers and figures are averaged. All right. The only one that's exact is the mechanical royalty. And the rate in 1997 was 5 cents. So you get $4.25 in gross profit. I mean gross profit because it does not include artist royalties payable to MC Hammer himself or any other royalties that could be paid to anybody else or any other royalties set aside to pay back his $10,000 debt. But moving 200,000 units yield him, at this retail price out of pocket, $850,000. All right, not too bad. Not too bad right here. So, question is, what are we looking like now? Well, if we put this in a graph, it looks like this. The profit is around 56.7%. Okay? That's not a bad profit at all. Not a bad profit at all to take $10,000, go record an album, press up copies, sell it out the trunk of your car, hit the clubs, and you move 200,000 units and you walk away with almost $1 million, not a bad thing. I want you to pay attention to this profit margin versus the debt right here. Okay? All right? Profit margin versus the debt. Let's keep rolling.
I had found a system. I was there. It wasn't major, but it was a system. It was a system that could get it out there. I mean, I had sold 500,000 copies on the underground scene independently before I even went to any major label. I knew what the consumers wanted. The consumers wanted more for their money. That's why I always give them more songs than an average company. You get to one of those big labels, they might only give you like 12 or 14 songs. I was giving them 19, 21 songs. So, that was just from a consumer standpoint, and I understood what the consumers wanted. So, I think that was a great thing, building a whole marketing strategy for No Limit Records. Some of these companies had made like 50 deals, 51% deals. I'm like, nah, I need a little more than that. So I was looking for a deal that I could do a 85% deal. and I only give them 15%. It was like, no way that's gonna happen. Priority wanted me real bad. I had a lot of other companies wanting me real bad. And I said, you know what? I don't want no money up front. I put that all on the table. Because I was selling records out the trunk of my car. So, I was getting a little check every week. So I told Priority I didn't want no money up front. They thought I was crazy. They laughed. Because they just gave Ice Cube and them probably like $1 million or $2 million. I told them I didn't want no money. But I want 85%, and I give y'all 15%. And I got 200 G's for a promotion budget. They thought it was a joke.
All right, so we got to address a lot of things. I had to bring the notepad for Master P because he dropped so much game that if you knew what you was looking for, you would have caught it. But I'm going to break it down because this is a Music Money Makeover show, and then we're going to jump into the slides. We're going to break down what it is he sold at $500,000 on. All right, so check it out. Now, first off, he found a system. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't have. A lot of artists don't put in place. They don't think about when they start making music. They just want to make music and put it on Spotify. Where do we go from here? No business works without a system. And that's one that he had to have. Now, let me clarify a little bit. Before the priority deal, which you heard him talk about in the clip, he did not have distribution. He was distributing it himself, so he had to kind of make a makeshift distribution pipeline for his music. So he had to develop the system himself. That's the system that he found. When he got to Priority already had the system in place. You know what I mean? Because the majors designed this system. So he had to replicate what he was already seeing and what he was getting feedback and hearing from on the street. Let's keep going. So in the clip, they reference, now this is a clip from BET from back in the day. So they reference the Ice Cream Man when he says he sold 500,000. And they also reference the year 1997, if you might have saw that. So one thing I want to say is it was not 1997. It was 1995. The album was for TRU. It was TRU's True album. It was the second album, okay? That's the one that went gold, that allowed him to get the money and the capital to sit down with Priority Records. All right, let's keep going. Now, 12 or 14 songs. If you've been a fan of this channel, or at least you subscribe, if you saw my TLC video, you know I broke down song caps enough so you can understand how song caps work in deals. Master P was independent. He didn't have to deal with any song caps. He could put as many songs as he could possibly fit on a 90-minute Glassmaster CD at the time, okay? The CDRs didn't exist yet until the early 2000s, so you're talking about Glassmaster CDs. These things are expensive to press and distribute. So you're going to see when I break down in the slides coming up why the price got bumped up from MC Hammer's cassette tapes to Glassmaster CDs in the 1990s. Now, let's keep rolling. He also states the 50-50 deals. Those 50-50 deals are joint venture deals. Just wanted to clarify that. And then also the 85-15 deal is a distribution deal, a press and distribution deal. Okay? So, without further ado, let's jump into the slides. Now, it is now 1995. Okay, we're on to Master P. We're pressing CDs at this point. Glassmaster CDs. He's doing cassettes and CDs because this did exist on cassette and CD in 1995. This was the release date right here. Pay attention to the mechanical royalty rate. It is going up. It is now 6.6 cents. You might remember this number from the TLC video I did. Now, I'm going to say that manufacturing was $2, including the artwork to get done on this CD. Okay? Remember, he's distributing it himself. There is no distributor. They're pressing it, and then they're dropping it off in record stores. How could he understand how this worked? Is because he used to own a record store out in California, in Richmond. That's how he knows how the business works. Okay? So he's distributing it himself. I gave him $1.50, 20% per unit would be his cost for just running up and down the New Orleans area and the California area to get his stuff out there. All right. Could be the cost of shipping, fuel, all of that. So we do a $2 manufacturing cost. We do, because this including artwork is to print the artwork booklet to put in there. All right. We do a $1.50 distribution cost to get it there to the store. We also have to take out the mechanical rate for the 16 songs. 6.6 cents. Now, some of those songs were a little bit longer than those, than the actual rate would allow. So, but I'm just averaging it out. We walk away with a gross profit of $5.95 at 500,000 units. We get almost $3 million here. One could say that he probably took home $3 million. Now, that doesn't include the artist royalties that he had to pay to the group members, okay? If you look on the cover right here, outside of the group members, he's got Mia X, Mr. Servon, and, of course, the ice cream man himself, Master P, but he was part of TRU, okay? So he's got other artists to pay royalties to out of this album, so he's not going to walk away with $3 million in total himself. But he will walk away with a hefty profit, enough to shoot a video, all right? Now, look at this. Look at our profit. We're kind of running neck and neck with MC Hammer here. But what did we lose? We didn't, the MEC rate. The MEC rate increased. Our manufacturing rate increased. Our distribution rate, did that increase? Did we increase? Our distribution rate decreased. It decreased. Okay? So now let's keep rolling. One could say that he might have learned some of the game from MC Hammer too, because they both were out in Oakland and Richmond.
And when the radio station did open up, I went up there trying to get a demo song played, and it kind of turned into eventually getting an internship at the station, using the commercial room for basically my personal studio, doing drops for every DJ that was on the air. And once I did that, a lot of people in Atlanta started listening to me, so everybody was like, who is this kid always rapping on the radio? I caught the attention of Timbaland, caught the attention of Jermaine Dupri. Eventually I started doing local side projects, which was putting some money in my pocket. And over a course of about 3 or 4 years, I had enough money to put myself in the studio, because I was tired of waiting for everybody else. And once I did that, I basically funded the whole project. I was working as the record company and as the artist, and we sold 50,000 copies in the southern region alone, between about 5 states. And once we did that, all the record companies were beating down the door, calling, asking what we wanted, what kind of contract we were looking into.
All right, so with Ludacris, right, the thing here we got to address is the simple fact that the way the interview went, he was kind of beating around the bush on a couple things, but I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I got some notes here. We got to address that. Number one, use your resources, okay? Everything he had went to setting money aside to get the album recorded, all right? At least that. All right, number two, he stated 3 to 4 years of 3 to 4 years it took him to just kind of get this recording budget up to set aside some things, all right, to get it done. And then he basically funded the whole project. But the one key factor that he didn't mention here was that the deal that he had with the Incognito album in 1999 was a P&D deal through BMG, which is Sony. So he's connected. It would make sense that he could go and get a deal or a P&D deal for a short limited run to get a better price on the press and distribute of the CDs. A 5-state area in the South, you're a radio personality, you rub elbows with enough people, and you do a couple shows, because you're going to get access to do shows because you're in Atlanta and you're a radio host in Atlanta. Of course, you're going to get access to Birmingham, Chattanooga, Nashville, Macon, Savannah, Jacksonville, Columbia, all these markets that surround Atlanta. Of course, you're going to get access to that. Tallahassee, Orlando, all this stuff, right? Of course, you're going to get access to that. And then you can have access to any of the label reps that come through the station all the time to work on a P&D deal for your album. Therefore, you get 50,000 copies pressed. You can, I didn't do the research, I'm just saying, but you can graduate that P&D deal into a full-fledged record deal. Now, let's break down this album right here. Now, Ludacris. Okay, Ludacris, $10. I'm giving this $10 now. Probably on the books, this is at $8. That would be what they would sell to the actual store so people could go pick it up. All right? And then that would be what he would buy it for from BMG to actually sell out of the trunk of his car, to have it pressed for himself. But I'm going to say retail price. We're just averaging these figures so you can get a ballpark figure. $2.50, a 25% press and distro deal from BMG. That's Sony BMG right there in 1999. All right. The 1999 mechanical rate for 12 songs is 7.1 cents. We're going up. The dollar is getting weaker and weaker by the year. Therefore, these things have to keep going up and up. Gross profit, we walk away with $6.60. 50,000 units, $330,000. Now, that's cool. But like I said, he's already in bed with a major right here. You just got to graduate the deal up, and then you have one. Okay? So that's what it is. Like I said, the gross profit includes that artist royalty payable to Ludacris. Mind you, look on here. He's got, what is that? I-20. I think it says 2-0 there, but that's I-20. He's got Fate, Four Eyes. He's got Shauna and whoever was in the DTP clique at the time. Okay. So out of this, he also has to pay producer royalties because, he just does. And probably more than likely, BMG was taking care of those royalties and all accounting for him. So that's what it is. We're starting to increase on this gross profit right here. So this is where things are going right here, because he got a all-in distro deal I'm averaging in. All right, let's go.
I want to talk about Superphone, but before that, I wanted to go back to you said you made $2 million off that album when you took it off. So can you detail, like, how did you do that? Was it via merch? Was it through live shows, a combination of everything?
Yeah.
Like
live made up the majority.
Live shows?
Yeah. So when I put my number on Twitter and say, hey, everybody shoot me a text, there were 35,000 people that texted in. The first response that everyone got, and whether you're texting, you texted me for the first time or you see any of these other celebs, I mean, they're now 6-7 years later, everybody finally caught on, you know what I'm saying?
Visionary.
But the first response is, it needs to be automated, right? And so for you to be able to manage the scale. And that first response is always, thanks for texting. I would love to know who you are. So please, put your information in my phone, right? Because I'm not going to type everybody's information.
Yeah.
So here's a form you can actually put your information in my phone, so I know who's even texting me. At that point, the difference, I would say, between my 2013 campaign and the campaigns that I'm seeing now is that there was a very specific intent captured at the initiation of the conversation. So I didn't just say, hey, here's my number, shoot me a text, what's up? I said, look, shoot me a text to get my new album. So they shot me a text. I already know the reason they're texting is to get my new album.
They want the product.
What's your information? Once I have the information, here's a link to get the album. Once that intent is captured, then you have an incredibly high conversion rate. So 1 out of every 2, about 17,000 people actually bought that record. They bought it for $10. That's 170,000, right? The difference, though, is that I now have a Rolodex, a record, a ledger of every single person that's willing to actually spend money with me directly. So now, not only do I have names, not only do I have emails, not only do I have telephone numbers, I have city and state and country information. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going on tour.
Got the real gold.
You're going on tour. People go to concerts because it is a social experience. So yeah, you might go to the concert if none of your friends want to go. You still figure out a way you go by yourself, but you're still in a room with a bunch of people. You guys are connected by the fact that you appreciate the artist that's on stage. For me, in that situation, even though only 17,000 people in my phone actually bought my record, they all brought a friend or 2 or 3 or 5 to the concerts. When I announced them, we sold 40,000 tickets at 60 euros a ticket. You could do the math.
That's
there.
like 5 albums right there.
Voila.
Okay, so for Ryan Leslie, this needs no explanation. I think he broke it down enough. I just want to say this number, 470-291-5767 in the background. I'm bigging up Ryan Leslie. I'm rocking with him. That's his Superphone. I use Superphone. It works. That's how I talk to you all on the regular. And that's what it is. I get direct access to people who really want to talk to me. Some people just say thank you all the time, you know. But I can give exclusive stuff out on my phone. I have before. right? I can just only do special promotion deals. And those of you all, you know, when you get those texts every month, there are promotion deals in those numbers. I don't tell everybody because you want to talk to me. Talk to me. You can get certain access to certain things. That's just what it is. I love his platform. That's how he sold his album on an early version of Superphone, direct to the fan, getting the number and the email. And if you've seen enough of his interviews, you will understand why he did that, because for the simple fact you couldn't do that with Apple and Spotify. You don't have access to that information. You don't know who's listening where and you know who really wants to contact you, if they're active or passive fan. So he was able to do that with his app. He sold an album through there, 17,000 copies, $170,000. Let's break it down in the slides. All right. This is the guy I feel like who won at this game in addition to Master P. Well, actually, all of them won, because if you can do that on your own, you win. $10 retail price for a digital download that he sold through his phone. He just has a mechanical rate for 12 songs. He wrote on every one of them. He produced every one of them. He had other writers and things he had to pay royalties for. He's the sole artist. I think he had one feature artist on there, or one or two feature artists that he would have to pay royalties for. He is the artist. You know, look at that. $8.91 in profit, 17,000 units, $151,470. 89.1% gross profit rate. I mean, that's crazy right there. Now, of course, 17,000 would be the initial sale. Of course, you know, sales will decrease at a rate of 50% going forward. So, you know, week by week. They may go up from time to time, but just week by week, it'll decrease on a rate of 50%. After the initial boom, that'll be it. Ryan Leslie right here wins. Okay? He wins. So here's the final verdict. Okay? The record labels will show extreme interest at this income right here, $100,000. This is from my cross-referencing of these legacy acts of the past, right? And not really Ryan Leslie. He's not a legacy act. But this is where the record labels will show interest right here at $100,000. You don't have a lot of leverage at this point, so you want to keep working it to at least $500,000, which they will show extreme interest. And if you feel you need a distribution or licensing deal at this point, I mean, technically, you just kind of need back-end services, because, I mean, you kind of kicking it nicely at this point with all the tools we have now. I don't know if you want the record deal, but if you did want like a, you know, extra income, like you want to boost your operation even more, this would be a nice level to get in at right here. That actually should be a plus and not a minus, but $500,000, $500,000. What will it take to get there at today's streaming rates? 26 million streams will yield you roughly that. This is gross now. This is pre-royalty payout and all that stuff like that. So 26 million streams will get you here. 131 million streams will get you there. This is Spotify's rate, but I like to take it because it's pretty average. It's right in the middle of all of the sources. So, and it's an average rate. It doesn't always end up at 0.0038, but it's just an average rate. So this is what it's going to take right here for you to kind of get on the radar. If you're taking a deal pre this, you ain't did enough work. I got to say ain't. You ain't did enough work. You know what I mean? You got to put in the work, because if you take a deal pre this revenue stream right here with the money that they're going to give you, you ain't got enough leverage. Then you enter into one of their slave contracts, which I might actually do a show on that. I think I have. I mean, TLC covers that enough, but, you know, I might do a breakdown on that. Anyway, let me get out of here. All right, everybody. So that's been today's show. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Share with somebody. Don't hoard this information to yourself, because I guarantee you, like, it's not that exclusive. Like, this information is out there. I'm just the aggregator. I'm just the messenger. So share to all your friends, your family, your musician people, and all of that. Don't be stingy with the information and think you're going to get over on somebody, because somebody else somewhere is listening to me. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. I'll see you all later. Peace. Everybody, thanks for watching the show. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com/shop to download all my books and free guides. And while you're there, click on the Book a Call tab to get a one-on-one Zoom call with me to get all your music business questions answered and solved. Thanks for watching.